This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released June 19th, 2024. Episode 671. NDA Sideshow.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I just threw that on you.
Yeah.
As we always
all
do.
Right. Hit me. What do you got? What is changing and what is staying the same? I guess, wait, no, yes, what is changing?
I just sent you a link. Yes.
Yeah?
For the last probably 30 years, I've been a public, I guess you could call a public engineering figure, right? Because I used to publish stuff in the magazines and my address used to be in there and my phone number was in there and people would send me letters back when you had to lick stamps and, actually send a letter, a handwritten letter often. Or, I'd get phone calls or whatever. Totally old. Really old.
And then they
school,
sent me a teletype.
Yeah, and I had a phone with a rotary dial on it,
Yeah.
And a telephone table in the hallway. Did you ever have a telephone table in the hallway?
Telephone table?
Yes.
No, we never did.
No. Oh, you didn't? Oh,
We've
well.
talked about it on the show, though. Yeah, we've talked about it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so for the last probably 30 years, I've had people contact me and say, hey, Dave, I love your stuff. You seem to know all about this sort of thing. And I've invented this machine that produces more energy output more energy out than what you put in. Over unity, I think they call it. Perpetual motion, I think they call it. And here it goes again. So, as if there were,
and yet you keep responding to it. I think that's really part of the problem here is that you give it oxygen and that baby tiny little that spark.
Yep.
That
it's enjoyable.
Person who's furiously rubbing the stick together in their hands. Eventually, it catches in the tinder of your curiosity, and it alights. It alights.
Well, I do like having fun.
Well, there's the problem,
and especially if they well, in this particular case, they didn't call out me direct, but they called out my kin, so to speak, EE influencers on YouTube, right? So they
accounted for. Yeah,
Yep,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so
being
influencer,
basically
much influencer.
the first EE YouTuber or the first full-time EE YouTuber, that's basically me. Even though I'm not the biggest anymore, I'm still up there, top 3 or 4 or something.
Okay.
And so this is directed at me. So I go, okay. Right, so I responded. Anyway, there's this dude. I won't even mention his name. We'll link it in down below, right?
Will we? I'm not sure I will. Okay,
Why?
well...
No.
You're giving it oxygen.
Well,
I don't give it oxygen. You give it oxygen.
You can link in the EV blog forum thread.
All right, I'll link in the forum thread. That's fine.
Forum thread instead of the guy's actual. Anyway, I had never heard of this guy before, and he does this video on X, Twitter, saying, I've got this over unity machine and I hereby challenge all EE YouTubers to sign this NDA and we'll show you the machine, and when you see that it works, you must announce to all of your audience that my company is a legit product.
And if you don't send it to 30 of your friends, you'll all be cursed. Now there's a throwback.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
man.
I literally just replied with lol in the first instant. It was like, lol. It's like, like seriously? As if this guy's not aware, which I've made him aware now, that there are literally thousands of YouTube videos out there with people demonstrating their over unity perpetual motion machine, how it produces more energy out than what you put in. And they've got meters hooked up to it. And it's like, dude, get in line. It's like just because you've challenged the EE YouTubers. Anyway, Mehdi, friend of the who's been on the show before.
Of course, yeah.
Electro Boom, for those who don't know. Yeah, he's actually considering it.
You know what, Dave? I'm going to mark this episode. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark this episode, and every time you say something like, Chris, you're missing so much on Twitter, I'm going to refer back to this episode and say, this is what I'm missing.
This is what you're missing, right?
This is what I'm missing.
Oh, it's good fun, though. Come on.
For some, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it's great fun. Anyway, so yeah, and as I knew nothing about this guy, and apparently there are no details of the machine. There's no details of his company. They don't even have a website.
You gotta sign the NDA.
Yeah, you gotta sign the NDA.
Dave.
And he admits, yeah, I do this deliberately because, well, we have important customers out there who don't want to be tracked by the government. And
you know, this is a good time for a PSA on the amp hour. When someone is absolutely insistent on an NDA, sometimes there are reasons,
yes.
right?
Oh, yeah. There
and
are
it's
legit
up to you whether
reasons.
or not you want to sign them, whatever. But in my experience, the bigger the deal they make about the NDA, especially the younger you are, like, you know, like before they can even give you any inkling of what it is, what space it's in, what, what kind of, what target area.
They don't even know they can't even tell you what market it's in, you know?
Yeah, you will be very disappointed once you sign that NDA. I think back to the, I was insistent. Do you guys have county fairs in Australia?
Yeah, similar. So we don't call them that, but yes.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so county fairs in the U.S. are, basically it's like rodeos and people showing off their livestock and just, just people ripping you off left and right for like, expensive fair food and expensive rides and games that
handcrafted
trick you.
Products. Usually, like they'll have stalls and people sell their handcrafted products and things like that.
But the number one thing to a young Chris Gamble was to go in through the amazing show that was there, right? It was like basically you had to pay some exorbitant ticket price to go and see the alien that they found.
Woman. You see the two-headed
exactly.
woman. Right,
yeah.
Okay. We call that the Sideshow here. It's called the Sideshow.
Yeah, that's a good time. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah. And I was
Bob,
absolutely insistent on doing it. And boy, there's never a bigger disappointment than when you finally pay it and you're like, that is
garbage.
Not what I thought. Yeah, it was so dumb. So dumb. So that's my likening it to someone who's really into an NDA.
No, I've always been kind of impressed when I've gone to these sideshow things. They've got, they don't have like the two-headed woman, like they would have back in the early 1900s or something.
Yeah, like the
come and
human
see
abuse
the
type
two-headed
of thing.
woman.
Right, right.
Come and see the 12-foot tall man, and it's like, it's just a dude on stilts, It's like,
yeah, right.
And no, but I've been impressed by some sideshow stuff. Like they would have people do it, a guy that squeezed himself through a tennis racket. It's like he's a literal contortionist that squeezes himself through.
This is not what I experienced. That's what I'm saying. I got bamboozled.
Oh, you got diddled, mate.
A good sideshow.
Yeah. No, you got totally. Hangs like someone who hangs like 30 kilos from their nipples.
From like a hook.
Like it's
right.
It's like or their tongue or something like that.
The really good stuff.
They're really. I love.
Yeah,
the
well,
freak
sometimes
shows,
you're going to sign the NDA and you're going to get the the creature the alien that landed on the planet that's actually just a fetal pig.
Right.
And sometimes you're going to get someone hanging 30 kilos off their nipples. Either way, you're in for a treat.
You're in for a treat. Well, yeah, I'm sure I'm not in for a treat if I sign the NDA, which of course I won't. I'm just having fun with these people.
Okay.
And anyway, I will report back after the show. I don't know, like live update. I have asked him because he's very responsive on the Twitters. Has he?
Yeah, he's
actually...
not doing anything useful. Sounds like.
So, has he actually got one of these machines, and B, has he actually used it to power his computer, which he's currently tweeting with? Because he claims that once you plug it in and it runs its and does its magic thing, then you can disconnect it and it runs perpetually. Like, is he actually powering his Twitter computer that he's using right now? And if so, and if he hasn't, why not? Unfortunately, this guy didn't invent it. He's just been diddled by someone else by the sounds of it. He's actually admitted that some other dude developed it. And now I'm sure he's a true believer, but you keep
using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
What?
Diddled is something very different in the US.
Yes, I know, but I don't care. It's a word here.
It's fine. I mean, you can say what you want, Dave. I'm just saying that. That's.
Yep.
I do not have time for Mr. Forbes.
Look, I'm not going to moderate my language for you Yanks. You
don't have to. I'm just saying that much like when I say
perfectly aware
something was rooted and you start snickering, then say in the same way. I'm just saying you saying diddled is different things here. So
I'm perfectly aware of that. Yep, but I'm still going to say it. Tough tips.
Twitter guy.
Literally, get it? 30 kilos from the Okay. Yeah, I'm here all week. Here all week, folks, in the sideshow. Oh boy, we have to name this show, Sideshow something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Sideshow Bob. Who's is he a Simpsons character? I can't actually remember who's
Sideshow Bob is like a Simpsons character.
Yeah, Simpsons. 'Cause I haven't watched it in so long.
It's only been 30 years, Dave.
Right? Yeah, I know. That's right. And was Sideshow Bob actually like Sideshow? I don't know the lore. I don't know the Sideshow
Yeah, so
Bob
he was
lore.
the sidekick to Krusty the Clown.
Krusty the Clown, right? Yeah, right. Yes, so that makes sense. Yeah. All right.
And I think he was voiced by Kelsey Grammer. I think that's right.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And he went to jail for a while. Yeah, a lot of storyline there.
Right.
I think it was Kelsey Grammer.
Anyway, get in line, dude. It's like, there's no photo, there's no nothing. I can't believe Medi's actually considering it. So, no, I am not going to give him oxygen. I'm just going to play with him, I'm just going to have fun. Nope, get in line. Because I've done so many videos. It's like I could make an entire channel. I could do a debunking every day of somebody who's demonstrating a perpetual motion or over unity machine on YouTube, and I could do that every day for a year and I still wouldn't run out of material. There's just so many of them. It's endless. Kickstarter, Indiegogo is filled with them. I've done videos on that. Or they used to be. I think they might have changed, maybe. Have they changed the rules? I don't know if they looked. I haven't looked in a while. I might have to re-look, see how many over unity machines there are on Indiegogo. But, it's endless. Anyway, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So 30 years I've been getting this, I told you a story about a guy who was super serious and wanted to fly me to Canada, wanted to pay for my flight to Canada, offered me $20,000 in an US in an escrow account if I went over to Canada and evaluated his over unity machine for him.
It's a great way to get kidnapped.
Yeah, it's... No, it's just they will hound you forever.
Watching hockey reruns for the next 5 years while you're chained to a radiator.
Right. No, I know exactly what's going to happen if Medi signs the NDA and goes to this guy and looks at the machine, right? He's going to get this photo op with Medi and then he'll blast that all over social media and to his audience that, hey, Medi's come to evaluate. Even if Medi does videos completely, dunking on this thing, which of course he would, right, and say this is all complete bullshit. It doesn't work at all. And they'll still use that as leverage, for their marketing purposes. So, as you say, you don't give them oxygen, but it is fun to play with them.
You have now given him 13 minutes of oxygen.
Yeah, well, I didn't even mention him, so don't even click. Don't even click, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What should we talk about instead? Look over there. It's a change of subject.
Well, we can talk about his MH370 conspiracy theories because that's apparently what he's famous for. No. Okay. All right. Jeez, Chris has no sense of adventure, no sense of humor whatsoever.
This is not what people signed up for, Dave. This is not...
What, you think they signed up for electronics? When have we done electronics on
I do electronics
show?
every single day. Some of us do electronics every single day.
Right. Well, okay, I can talk about electronics then. Shall we talk about components, marketing and changing components on the customer?
Sure.
How we talk about that. I just did a recent teardown of a DI solar inverter. Like, I've actually done a second, an original video where I didn't completely tear it down, whereas a viewer actually saw that video and they went, hey, I've already got one of these exact models torn down for you. Would you like it? Hell yes. Please send it to me. And so I just did a recent video actually doing quite an extensive teardown and reverse engineering of that. Someone on the forum who actually designs solar inverters actually went, oh, yeah, I can draw that off the top of my head, boom, boom, boom. So,
What is in a solar inverter? Give us a block diagram.
Well, okay. Look, I'll give you the timestamp of the video so you can actually see hang on. I can give you the actual topology circuit so you can have a look at it. Give me 1 second here, folks, while I send Chris my DI inverter. Where's the...
Whenever you say DI as well.
DI. D.
I know.
E-Y-E.
D-E-Y-E. Yeah. I'm just saying, when you say DI, all I can think of is DI, and because he used to say DI water, like DI water.
DI water?
Deionized water.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
deionized water.
I've never heard
That was just like
water called DI.
a thing in the fab. It was deionized water. That's all it was.
Oh, really?
Because it was like, once it was processed and re-deionized, yeah.
Right. Oh, I've never heard that.
That's the only time I heard it, and I haven't thought of that in a very, very long time.
Huh.
I hope I'm not talking on my ass. I might be talking on my ass, but
Right.
DI water, yeah.
Oh, geez, sorry, I can't find this thing. I'm going to have to give you the video timestamp.
Okay, I have the video up now. Yeah,
Oh,
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah. Well, just go 30 minutes into it or something like that.
Okay, cool.
So, yep.
Oh, yeah, I see it. There it is.
Okay, so we're both looking at the diagram now. Yeah, so a standard solar inverter is basically the solar panels go directly into a boost converter, because even though the solar panels are very high voltage, you've got to boost them even, well, it may not necessarily be a boost, but it could be like a SEPIC converter, which is a buck boost kind of thing, right? Anyway, it depends on the maximum input string voltage, but basically it converts it into a high voltage bus, right, which is like 400 or 500 volts, something like that, right? Converts it to a high voltage DC bus, so it boosts the solar panels up to a high voltage DC bus, and then they just use basically a H-bridge to chop that high voltage bus and generate a sine wave. That's basic, and feed that straight into the grid. That's basically the general gist of it. Of course, there's lots of software foolery. In this particular case, there's the Herrick inverter there, which we've talked about before.
Did you actually make this? Did you make this LT Spice model?
No, that was somebody on the forum. As I said, it was a viewer who is actually a former solar inverter
designer,
and he went, oh, look, I'll just draw this off the top of my head. I know it's...
he's drawing it too. I was going to say, there's no control circuits on the IGBTs.
Oh, no, he hasn't drawn the control circuits.
Structural.
It's just structural, top-level topology thing, which is all you need to know. You know, you can't go into all detail, right? It'd take you
This
a
is
month
way more than I would have known otherwise.
Yeah.
No. This is very cool.
And I'm sure, as I said, you see that Herrick inverter there, which is labelled with the two IGBTs across the mains, basically. I'm sure we've talked about this on before. It was news where Fraunhofer in Germany owned the patent for this Herrick inverter topology, and they successfully sued a whole bunch of solar inverter companies from China, Canada, Germany, a whole bunch of companies, and they successfully sued them because they used these two IGBT MOSFETs in the way that they had patented, and they successfully defended that and won. Don't know what the payouts were, but I'm sure we reported on that in a previous episode.
Reported on that.
Yeah, but apparently, as someone informed me, that patent is now expired. So it just expired this year or something like that. So you can now use this Herrick inverter invented by this German guy at Fraunhofer company, and yeah. So, and that's linked, if you want a link to that article, that's down in the description of the video. So anyway, so that Herrick inverter thing, sorry, this is not visual, but you can watch my video.
I will drop a screenshot that I just took and also the video, like Dave said, we'll timestamp it and stuff.
Yep, cool. And so this Herrick inverter just improves the efficiency because the flyback current in the IGBTs, they are essentially a loss, right? It's essentially loss in the inverter when you switch it at high frequency. So this Herrick inverter just actually diverts that, and it improves the efficiency, and it also increases the common mode rejection rate. It improves the common mode rejection ratio as well, and improves the noise that the thing actually emits and stuff like that. So it's lower noise, higher efficiency, blah, blah, blah. So most solar inverters these days have a Herrick inverter. But yeah, it's very simple. It's got a boost DC to DC converter, which is basically a big-ass inductor and a big-ass switch-in FET and a big-ass diode. And that just produces your solar up to, to your high-voltage bus. And then you've got caps on the high-voltage bus, of course, to smooth things out. And then you've just got a H-bridge. So that's how any inverter works, whether or not you buy one of those, cheap-ass 12-volt, car inverter things where you plug it in your cigarette lighter and,
Yeah, and it whines like crazy.
And it whines like crazy because it's $80 and they didn't bother to strap down, and the transformer's loosey-goosey and, the or inductors just squeal like a pig, Anyway, it's hilarious.
So this design, though, it is inductorless. Or, sorry, it is transformerless, right?
There is, yes, it's transformerless if you just got that. But because this is a hybrid inverter, you'll see down in the bottom left corner, it uses a transformer down there, and that's for the battery system.
Right.
The battery, which is a bidirectional transformer. Well, all transformers are bidirectional.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, but it's basically got a H bridge on both sides of the transformer so that it can feed power into the battery to charge the battery, and then it can extract power from the battery and go through the transformer in the other direction, and it just puts that straight across the HV bus. Yeah.
Man. I just don't even know where I would. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't start from scratch on all of this stuff, but just me
there's
thinking
a lot
about
of topology,
desert island, box
Right.
box of electronic components.
and you had to build
Obviously,
your
I wouldn't
inverter
have
from your.
I wouldn't have a grid that I have to tie into at that point. But
Right. No,
but yeah,
but
just,
you've got an
it's wild.
AC radio and you have to power it from a solar panel. How would you do it?
Yeah,
Like.
I'd feel a little
Right.
bit better about that, right? Maybe, yeah.
Right.
But tying into the grid piece, that's the piece that I'm just that.
Well,
I'm still scared.
that's all about. That's all in the software and the measurement. You have to
synchronizing.
time the phase and you lead and lag it
right.
to increase the current going into the grid, etc. And there's definitely a lot of devil in the detail in in these type of inverters systems. So. Yeah, but you can just make something crude using using a H bridge and as we said, those cheap inverters that you see, they don't even bother making a sine wave. They're just a square wave output.
Bang, bang,
It's just bang, bang. Switch inverter on. Switch H bridge on this direction.
Right.
Switch it
Eventually,
other direction.
the capacitance and the inductance of your lines and your PCB traces and everything else.
It's supposed to help. Yeah, it's supposed to help.
It'll smooth that right out.
It'll smooth that right out.
That or the RF you generate will help smooth out those corners.
Oh boy. Yep.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff. But so anyway.
Speaking of things that are in the details, have you?
Hang on, I haven't finished the story yet.
What? Get the hell out of here!
No, dude. I haven't finished the story.
Right, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, it's not exciting. The stuff
I said the exact same thing to my
interesting.
daughter tonight when trying to convince her to go to sleep. Just so you know.
Right.
So
yeah, you've got 2 minutes. Yeah,
this is
2 hours later.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
Been there, done that, dude. Still happens.
Yeah, totally. I believe it.
Yeah, until they're probably 18, and then they don't really
They just don't sleep.
want to know
they sleep
you
the whole
anymore.
time. Yeah, right.
Or
Exactly,
you just don't care anymore. Do whatever you want, kid. Yeah. Here's the car. I can borrow the car keys, Dad. Here you go, bugger off. Yep. Waiting for it. Anyway. So the interesting part about this is that DI, the guy, the viewer who got
the
this
water. Yeah,
thing,
like the water.
Yep. DI, I've never heard that. I've got a friend of mine who actually has a bottled water company. Actually, he set up a.
You don't want to drink deionized water, Dave. It'll
right. No. Yeah. It just reminded me that
Okay,
I know this guy who's got a bottled water company. Anyway.
You want the ions. It's got what plants crave.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so it came with a brochure, a big glossy brochure about how DI is the best thing ever. And they've got a whole page in there devoted to how they use the best quality components. And they put the logos there. They've got Nippon Chemicon caps. They've got Panasonic relays. They've got, this brand semiconductor in there and all that sort of thing. So I did the teardown video and none of them are in there. None of them are in there. They
what's a lot
switched.
cheaper than good components is a nice glossy brochure.
Yeah. And to be fair, though, in my previous video of this, where I did like a partial teardown, somebody else had done a video tearing it and down an older model, and I saw that video and I noted that they did have Nippon Chemicon caps in there, right? So at one point they did have all these quality brands as claimed. Now, I've just been contacted, I haven't replied to them yet, I've just been contacted by DI, and I won't say any details, but they're basically saying, that was an old brochure, and they didn't explain how they've changed, but obviously, yes, they've changed. They're no longer using those quality components. So
now 20% cheaper.
Now 20% cheaper. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So anyway, that was the interesting part of the.
Got it.
Well, that was an interesting tidbit of the teardown, is that they had changed all this, even though the brochure came with the thing. The brochure came with the. And you open it up, and they're not in there. Oops. So I don't know. It's like it's one thing not like otherwise. It's a really good inverter. Like the build quality looks great. You know, I don't think there were any viewers that were saying, "Oh, that just looks totally crap." You know, and basically everyone was thinking, "Oh yeah, that looks pretty darn decent," considering like it's a bottom price inverter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
You know,
pretty
this
good,
came up.
except for the
This came up today. That I linked a thing in the show notes. Well, it'll be in the show notes, but it was also on the subreddit. But it was a comparison about the PY32 and the CH32 and STM32 and GD32 and all these different things.
Ah, right. Yes. You just posted this. Yeah.
So
right.
it was good. Side by side.
Battle of
fun.
the 10-cent microcontrollers. Back when, as inflation kicked in, because I can remember doing a 3-cent microcontroller video.
Well, it was a little bit more full feature than the Paruk.
3-cent. Than the 3-cent.
This is like,
yes, well, true.
This is like the CH32, which you and I have talked about on the show before, and we had Charles back on the show
Have
a couple
I done
weeks
a video
ago.
on the CH32?
You have, Dave, yes.
I thought I did. I completely forgot.
No, I know you have.
Yeah, but what was it called? Like, did I label it like a 10-cent? Did I
you did.
do the clickbait? Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go. Okay, a 10-cent RISC-V ARM processor. There you go. Yes, I did.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
And we've had
300,000 views. I should do more of those videos.
Multiple episodes on the amp hour as well, talking about the CH32. I've talked about the boards that I've built with it. We've had Charles back on the show.
My own clickbait.
Oh, of course. Well, number one thing we got to do.
And my 3-cent microcontroller got 250,000 views. I need to just dedicate my channel to cheap chips.
Cheapest chips, yeah. I think they're, this is what I was getting at. So, this company was promoting the high quality stuff. People don't really care. Now, that's what I keep finding myself saying too. Like, there was all these comments about like...
It depends on what it is. Come on. You've got to admit. Like something like a solar inverter, people are going to go, where's my Japanese caps? I mean...
No one says that. Literally, no...
Bullshit. Dude, you're just not hanging out on it. You need to hang it on the
No
EV
one says that
more.
as a consumer. As a consumer, people don't say that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yes, there are people it's a power distribution, right? The vocal
Right.
people that are like looking inside and open it up, like of course they would, right? But most people, when they buy this kind of stuff, does it work? Is it fitting my budget? Like, is it hitting the specs that I want? Has it had the features I want? Like, most people don't care about what's inside. And I hate to say it, but I'm kind of entering that second group. Maybe I've always been in that second
if
group.
I'm talking about a consumer product, I'm
sure. But even a high-end product, right? It's like, this has come up multiple times where I'm talking about this review of these different parts and stuff like that. I don't really, one of the things against it was like, oh, this is like Chinese made components, and I don't really have feelings about, like, I don't have allegiance to any chip maker, and so it's really like the spec of the part itself and not like the quality of the maker, like mostly because I'm not doing it.
I'm not too concerned about the chips in it. Because I'm concerned about if there's a power product and those devices are stressed, right? So hence why I'm going to care about the brand of the capacitors. I'm going to care about the brand of the semiconductors, right? I'm going to care about stuff like that. I'm going to care about the thermals, the thermal design of the product. If it is poorly thermally designed, right? Yes, I'm going to care about those things that are stressed.
Intrinsic safety type of things.
Yeah, but if you're
you could
using
buy high quality caps that are rated properly that you might not know the name of, but they are actually tested. And that's what I'm saying is like the brand, like the branding piece. We're talking about like, Chemicon, Nichicon, whatever the brand was. Brands take dives off the deep end all the time too, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And so
yes, but it's about trust as well, right?
Because I think it's about trust of
you can't
the people
test
you're buying
those
from.
yourself, right? You can't. Oh, I'm going to test these caps myself, so I'm going to rip them all out. I'm going to put them in the thermal chamber, and I'm going to test these things for 10,000 hours and stress them.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
You're not going to do that, so you have to do it based on your knowledge of the industry and the trust that has been built up in certain manufacturers, right?
No, I don't think so. I think you have to trust trust in the people that you're buying from, right? And so if you here's the thing. If I was given the choice between a high quality end product maker who sourced components from who knows where, right? But I trusted that versus
you're still trusting. You're still trusting that manufacturer.
Hold on. I said if I had the choice between the person producing the end thing, in this case, let's say an
Yes.
inverter, and it's a high quality inverter brand where I trust that brand making the thing, and it has no name components in it, versus buying from 10 different no-name product companies that use the high-quality company. No, this is important. This is an important distinction. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, no, because you're saying that the brand of the component matters.
You can talk about
I don't
both,
think so.
dude. You can talk about both.
You can talk about both, but I'm saying that what I prefer more is I would rather have a product company that I trust that is using...
You would rather have a Fluke or a Rode in audio gear, or you'd rather have, you know, you're into audio, you would rather have like a Fender brand instead of some one
I'm not
low.
into audio.
What?
I mean, I play music. I'm not into audio. Like, I'm not like buying tube amps or anything like that,
Right.
you know, so... But yeah, this is what I'm saying is that like I would rather trust in the people that are testing these things, because it's up to them, right? It's like their brand is on the line to do the testing of the thing instead of leaning on brand name components, because
but it always comes down to it's always got to include a discussion of both, right?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it does, because most people are at the consumer level, and even in prosumer, even in other stuff like that.
All of the viewers on our show are not regular consumers. They are not Joe average.
We have no viewers on our show.
We what? We have no viewers on our show. What?
We have
listeners. Sorry. Well, no, you can be viewing the logo on YouTube, the static logo on YouTube.
The static logo, you're right.
You can be staring at that for an hour.
It. Look at it. It hasn't changed for many years. All right. I think you and I maybe are just different paths on this stuff. But what I was trying to get to, though...
I totally agree with you, right? I would do the same thing, right? I am going to trust that company, right? But if I open the thing up, if I open up that company, if I'm doing a teardown and I open up that company's product and I've seen they've done something fundamentally shit, right?
Yes.
I'm going to call
100%.
it out. Right?
100%.
If they've got a huge, if I tear down a huge brand name inverter or something like that, and it uses these caps I've never heard of, I'm sorry, I'm going to say something. That questions me in my mind, like, hey, these guys are penny pinching here, and they could come a gutser, right? Because they've penny pinched.
I don't know if I agree with that. Here's the thing, like, if they look like they're in good condition, and it's marked on the side that they're, the proper, like, if they're
105
say they have a 300 volt bus
right.
and they're rated at 200 volts, I would call that out, right? But like, if it says they're 600 volt rated caps and it's a 300 volt bus and there looks like there's enough of them, and like, I don't know, like, I assume that the company is testing this, and if not, then I don't know, like.
Sure, but it at least raised my heckles up, right? I go, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think maybe this is the difference here.
Right?
Maybe where we can come to an accord is the fact that Dave, the reviewer, is very different than Chris, the consumer.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. And it also depends on price bracket, right? Because you can buy a cheap Fluke multimeter, right? You can buy a $50 Fluke multimeter that's made in China, right?
Sure.
But and so it might be acceptable in that to use some lesser quality components to meet a price point, right?
Totally.
Fine.
Right, but brands aren't absolute.
It's not a really good example because nothing in there is stressed.
We're making the same point, though, that brands are not absolute and brands are not trustable, both at the product level and the component level, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, I just...
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. Not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing I was getting to with this, though, is that I find myself, as an electronics designer, not a great one, but, an experienced one, I think, increasing experience every day. I find I am also rejecting this on a component basis for my own designs, where I'm not as choosy about the components that I'm putting into things, as long as they perform, right? And as long as they're sourceable.
Sure, as long as they perform. But what do you do? Okay, you're designing an inverter like this, right? You know these components are going to get stressed. Right? No, this is a genuine question, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's
if I'm designing some little battery-powered widget, right, I don't care if I use a CH32 processor in there, right? I don't care if I use a 3-cent micro in there, right, because they're not stressed, right? But if I'm, if I know I've got some product that where those components are going to be stressed, I am only going to trust the name brands which I have trusted, the big brands that I have trusted in the past. There would have to be some extreme cost reason for me to choose no-name components in a stressed design. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I think that is the shorthand for what will probably find success. But in absence of that, because I think, in the dark times, bubblegum tap shoes, I think there were no choices, right? And then it came down to the individual engineer to do their own stress testing, to do their own sourcing, to do their own evaluation, to figure. And I think that's probably what's loosened up some of my mind about it. I have no doubt that at some point I'm gonna get burned and I'll be like, never again. So I get where people are coming from, and they're like, no, just go with, pay a little bit more, do the thing. But what I'm saying is, I think because of the shortage, I think that just kind of unlocked my brain a little bit,
right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that did for quite a few people, actually.
Yeah,
it did quite a lot. But it didn't really. I can't say it did change the mindset for me. I've always been a horses for courses guy, right? If it's warranted, like if those components are going to be stressed, I'm only going to be using the ones that I trust, unless there's some extreme circumstance. No, I'm going to err on towards the ones that I trust, and verify, of course. Because you've got to verify your device. But you can't test your cap for 10,000 hours. You can't, and they might change batch to batch. You can't do that, right? As a designer, you can't just stress this semiconductor. Well, maybe if you had infinite time and resources, you can't stress that semiconductor.
I cannot do it at the same level. That is
exactly.
true. I have to trust the data sheet at a certain point.
You don't have the time. You don't have the resources. Yeah.
But the other thing is true.
Well,
I will never, ever, ever design an inverter because they scare the crap out of me.
Same here. Yeah. Oh no, I would, but they do scare the crap out of me. Yeah. Yep. I've said it before. Basically, if there's anything over 24, 48 volts DC, scares the shit out of me. Yep.
All right, mister. Time for your bed. It's been more than 2 minutes.
I'm a low power guy.
And we're going to put this issue to bed and talk about the thing I wanted to talk about, which is probably something you want to talk about if I'm
You have an
honest.
agenda. Okay.
I do.
Let's go.
It actually, I had filled out the add this to Reddit thing, and apparently I didn't hit submit. So we had someone write in about the new Altium model. And I was like, I bet Dave wants to talk about this too.
I just heard about this morning. I just heard about it. They've completely removed the perpetual license. Is that correct?
And so that is correct. And I think
is that the only change?
They also, I think, moved the price up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Right. But Altium price famously varies depending on how actual loudly you shout at them. Basically, yeah. And how sort of, if you buy it towards the end of the month and they have to make their monthly quota, the sales guys, then you might get a better deal. Kind of
that
thing.
Is actually true of most things that are for sale. Is try and catch the salesperson right on the day before
There's actually
quota.
an EEV blog forum thread on this, and I heard somebody in there said that they got some 3-year deal. Like they negotiated some 3-year deal paid yearly or something, and they got 40% off or something like that. It's so you can really negotiate with them, or you used to be able to. I don't know what the new owner.
Renaissance.
Renaissance. Did you say Renaissance?
Yeah, I say Renaissance.
Renaissance.
No? Renaissance. Isn't it a Japanese company?
No, I think it's SAS. Renaissance.
Okay, whatever.
I could be wrong. I'm famously wrong, so don't quote me on that. Anyway.
I will quote that you're famously wrong.
I haven't checked. Have the shares actually been delisted yet? Because last I looked, they hadn't been bloody delisted.
Yeah, we did an episode about this.
It was complicated.
When that happened, right?
It was so I only checked.
I did think it wasn't going to go through, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure it's going to go through.
Well, the company's already bought all the shares, but I think, no, the shares are still listed. It's up 0.27% today.
Wow.
So, like, what the hell?
Bye. Yeah.
Like, it's like, and yeah, it's been almost flat since the announcement according to the web thing, which was the 15th of February. And it dipped a little bit after that, but then it's kind of stayed flat. Now it's gone actually above the offer price.
It's a meme stock now.
It's a meme stock. It's a GameStop. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Roaring Kitty's going to be on this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Did you hear he had $100 million position in GameStop? It's happening again. Dude.
I don't care about meme stocks at all.
Oh, man. No. Man. It's legendary. You should check it out. Anyway, the guy everyone thought he sold out, and apparently he had $150 million position or something, plus options. And now it's...
Anywho, it was back in March.
Chris doesn't want to talk about anything interesting, folks.
Nothing. Yeah, you're right. That's not interesting. I agree that's not interesting. 659 was the episode. So they're switching from a perpetual license model. And I think that's actually a misnomer, too, because it's a perpetual license, but you almost always have to pay, what are they called, maintenance?
No,
so basically,
you don't have to pay maintenance. You only have to pay maintenance if you want to, if you want the bug fixes.
Oh, right. If you want to be a damn shame if you couldn't work your software no more, you know?
What are you talking about? For 20 years I used Altium, like 30 years.
Yeah, right.
I used Altium with known bugs. Everyone uses it with known bugs, and you just learn to work around them, and she'll be right.
Yeah. I think maybe the bugs have gotten worse, but anyways, it's not trivial either. It was like I think it was like $5,000 for the initial license, and then $1,500 for maintenance, that sort of thing.
Right.
Now what it's going to be though is basically perpetual. They're getting rid of perpetual, and it's only term-based licenses. It's called.
Yeah. Well.
And so someone who wrote in said this basically means a doubled annualized cost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. This is for Altium 365, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I had used before, and someone sent me a design. It's pretty cool.
Right.
It's not bad. I mean, like, nice, webby kind of thing, but very expensive now.
Yeah. Wow.
So this person wrote in and said, "What's our take? And is this a move that will make Altium a corporate-only tool and bring KiCad into the professional world for real, or does it make sense?"
Oh, look, Altium's always been a corporate. No, I guess no. There's a lot of small companies that. So corporate, you mean big company, right? Not.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think it's. Does this move this into the echelon of, pads and similar, like just kind of legacy enterprise tools that are targeted at the high end, high end market with high end customers as well that are paying huge licensing fees, and that's basically they're just like, we service the tier ones and that's it, right? So I think that's what this person was asking. I'm making some leaps on that, but I think it's how does the SMB fit into all this? A small and medium business, right? I think that's kind of the question.
Well, often,
I can go first if you want, or you can go first.
Well, I'll just mention this: the small to medium business is often quite happy with the monthly model because they know exactly what their expenses are, right? So there's a lot of small to medium businesses that are very happy with that monthly model. They don't want to pay $5,000 or $10,000 up front because that's a chunk of cash flow that they can use to buy stock, So they're often happy with that. So there's always going to be customers that want both, that swing both ways. So
I am a KiCad user. You may be surprised to learn. Also, if you didn't know, listen to the last episode. Me and Peter talked about that. Petter talked about that. And I thought Petter had a good take on it where basically, he's a professional designer. He's using KiCad. He can do a lot of things, but not everything. And I think I'm probably a step below where he is. Like, he's a very talented designer. I'm not doing nearly as fancy of designs as he is, but I don't run into a lot of restrictions on myself these days. And I do feel like at a certain point, there's some like diminishing curve where probably some of the workflow tools.
For stuff that you're working on, KiCad's plenty.
Excuse me. Excuse me, sir.
You said it yourself. You're not working on high-end stuff, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like, I'm like 4-layer board, sometimes RF, sometimes controlled impedance, and that's about it. I'm not doing
you could go
FPGA
back and
designs,
you can go back and use free Protel auto tracks for DOS. And it's
Let's not get too harsh here, Dave. Come on, man. Yeah, all right. I'm doing some interesting
I'm serious.
things
You
here.
can do a lot with a little with a low end
Yes, you can
PCB
do-
package. Any of them.
and I
any
think-
of them.
I think what this comes down to, and so now what I'm going to do is kind of channel Jay Carlson, who's been on the show twice, and Jay talks about, if you find a tool, regardless what your tool is, right? If it's say it's AutoTrax, right? And if you find a tool that improves your workflow time and gives you a lot of time back, ultimately that's probably what you should use, even if it does cost money, because it's just
that's what you're paying for with Altium. On the larger designs, you're paying for a more polished, automated
I think that
experience.
is improving. I think that is improving, but I think some of the tooling will be on you. So like if you're willing to invest on the KiCad side of things, or really just, let's just say non-Altium, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because there are other choices too. I think you could build a pipeline and tooling and stuff like that. I think, the benefit of something like a KiCad would be you probably control more of it. You could lock yourself to a certain version. You could have support on that. You obviously own the, you have the code as an open source project, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, then all the tooling's on you. There's nobody really shout at unless you hire Seth and Wayne and shout at them. But don't do that because they're very nice people.
Yeah, but you're paying them, right? That's what
you are. But I'm just saying, I like them.
I know,
and don't
but
shout at them. You could ask.
Yeah, but that's kind of the business you get into if you have that services business where your
That's true. Yes.
customers paying you to solve their problems.
Totally.
They're going to shout at you. They are not going to be nice.
There might be some shouting. Yes, that's true.
And they're almost certainly going to shout at you. You have to take that as a given. Come on.
Yeah. So to the person writing in, they mentioned that they had like 15 licenses, which is not a small amount.
Yeah, no, that's a decent number of seats.
I would, so if I was in the same scenario, and I don't know if I would be, because that's a big employed base of designers, I'd probably try and survey people who've made the switch.
Yep.
Try and take the amount of time it took to switch over workflows and stuff like it. I'd pad that number by 4x. I'd multiply that by my hourly rate, and I'd see what the payback time is on the switchover. Because
at the same time, I would go to Altium, and I would throw the numbers at them and say, look, my unit price has my per seat price has effectively doubled. This is absolute bullshit. And I am going to leave to something else unless you give me, like, as I mentioned, somebody in the forum got like a 3-year locked-in price discount at 40% off.
Yeah.
Right?
That's definitely worth doing. Yeah. If your workflows are all in that space, like that is a non-trivial disruptive event to your business.
And for 15 seats, trust me, that salesman's going to bend over backwards for you. They're going to take it right up there, Hey, yeah, really? End of the month, an extra 15 seats?
I don't know. I think that's the other thing. I think this move is also moving them away from a software sales model to more of a SaaS model, right? This is like a software-y kind of thing where you have fewer incentives with humans, and instead you just, move it to more like how newspapers are, where you go to click the cancel button and automatically the price drops 50%. Do you want to stick around? Well, yes, I do.
Exactly.
Always cancel your newspaper thing, right?
Yes.
If you're
cancel your insurance, always cancel your
totally. Cancel everything, right? And they're just kind of leaning into it because I think there is also that expectation.
We talked about this before. I canceled my power bill, right? And I changed to someone else, and then like an hour later I got a phone call from them. Oh, we will offer you a 30% off if you switch back to us right now. And I went, okay.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. And there's like workflows that are built around this sort of thing. There's entire like software industry that's just about like retention, because retention. So just to use our kind author who wrote into us, like if he is committed to it, right? Once you're a month down the line, or hell, a day, I don't know. Once you're like locked in though, that is 15 licenses that are never getting back. And ultimately that's a drop in the bucket. But if you do that enough times, then you really start to add it up, and and basically that just becomes a leaky bucket that they're trying to then fill up with new subscriptions, which are not as valuable to, like someone who's coming online as a hobbyist is not nearly as valuable as 15 thing licenses every year, because it's a known quantity, and they're probably well trained and they know what they're doing, and they're complaining less because they're just experienced users. So I do agree with Dave. I think that having that is chasing discounts in the short term.
Right. There's one thing you have to understand though, is that they know, Altium know very well In fact, their entire business model for the last, 40 years has been based on this fact, or at least 30, has been based on this fact, is that they know how hard it is to change tools.
Getting easier. I don't know if you know that. KeyCat 8, the Altium importer, is much better than before. Not
but
not
your productivity instantly goes back to zip,
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, not to zip, but, it takes a huge hit. No, it's
I don't know if I agree with that either.
No, sorry, dude. It's always been the case. Maybe it's getting better, but
when's
it's still
the last time you did a layout, Dave?
Yeah, I know.
Seriously, I mean, it has changed, right?
I know. Okay.
This would be a great. I think you should. I think this would be good content. Just compare the latest ones, right? Compare the import function. Compare. I sorry. That sounded like I was calling. I'm sorry. That sounded like I was calling you out, but I'm just saying that these things are and have changed, right?
Yeah, it has been on my list of videos to do. Trust me.
I think things have changed, but I think, and I agree that productivity will take a hit, but only because in this organization of this person who wrote in, just think about the norms of companies. That's the big thing to me, right? Like anyone can learn any new software package. It's just a matter of
time and effort.
A couple months. You really just you just got to burn the ships on the shore, right? Kind of thing. You got to be like, nope, everything new is going KeyCat. Everything old is supported by Altium, but we're going to tail off the licenses. That's one way you could do it. You could do a hard cut, but then you're probably not supporting your past clients. So I think, it's a real tough decision though.
Totally.
I don't know. I think the fact that it's Windows only is criminal, to be honest. But
why?
That ain't changing anytime soon.
If you're using it every day, why does it freaking matter?
Because I don't want a Windows machine. Windows crashes all the time, and that's something that as a Linux user. Yeah,
Windows crashes all the time, does it?
Yeah.
Dude, I can leave my Windows machines going for weeks, and they don't crash.
Well,
programs
maybe
crash.
I'm not good at running
programs crash.
running Windows. I don't know.
You must suck at it.
Yeah. Must be.
Yeah, tough call. But that was totally predictable that they would do that. Everyone said that. Everyone said that as soon as the announcement was made. Everyone said, "Oh yeah, they'll just go to a software a subscription model only." So
yeah, I mean, I think they want to be Adobe, they want to be Autodesk, they want to, all of these higher margin things. They all want to chase that and make it more self-service, and
Well, you could also say, well, why are they doing this? Because it's a small drop in the bucket for the parent company, right? And maybe how do they operate that at a corporate level? Does Altium have to show does Altium with its own CEO as a subsidiary company of the larger parent company, does that have to show a profit? Does that have to still keep
interesting.
How does that work, or is it just noise to them?
I would guess they only purchased them 3 months ago. They announced the purchase 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But I would take a pretty good guess that this has been in the work for 6 months, a year. This is the kind of thing where totally. Probably was in flight way before the purchase, maybe even part of the purchase. Hey, we're switching to a SaaS model. We think we'll be able to capture this much more revenue. Maybe that was part of the interest in the purchase in the first place. It's
and maybe that's just the parent company standard. I don't know. I don't use the
no offense to Renaissance, but I don't give them that much credit.
I don't use their. I don't know. Really, I don't know. I don't.
They're chip makers.
I haven't used any of their tools for a decade, so I don't.
Well, I'm just saying they're chip makers. I don't give any chip makers the benefit of software knowledge. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I just don't think they're they do have some software tools, but chip companies are pretty terrible at software. Sorry, chip companies.
Right. So generally, you're a third-party compiler man.
Is GCC a third-party compiler?
Yes, of course it is.
Okay, sure, yes.
Although some companies like Microchip, for example, don't they contribute to GCC or their versions based on GCC? Yeah. So I don't know.
No, many of them.
So that sort of muddies the waters a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or they do a branch off, don't they? They usually.
I think that's really what it is. Their tooling is built on top of GCC. They have value add from the tooling, and stuff like that. So
right. Yeah,
but
which is kind of not the same thing. But
I just don't. I don't know. It's mean, right? It's not I don't give them credit for the things they do.
Right.
I give some of them credit when they do Zephyr stuff because
That's
feel
your
like
employer.
different. I mean,
They're paying your bills, dude.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, yeah. I think that's really leaning into like more things on top of GCC, right? Like tooling for an ecosystem. So, like as a reminder, you did a review on the CH32 and Moon River, right? Which is an IDE.
Oh, right. Yes.
Right,
Yes.
on top of the
Which is a third-party
Wish 5
IDE
port
on top of that. Yep.
GCC, right? Exactly, yeah. And so
right.
it's like I'm not going to WCH, the makers of CH32, for their software.
Right. Yeah. No. Of course, you just buy the chips. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
same with Renaissance.
Right. Well, Purdue was interesting because they had their own C compiler. They actually had their own
That is
quasi
interesting,
C. It was quasi C. It wasn't even. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just like that was the only way to do it until somebody wrote a port for GCC. I think at some point later.
Yeah.
But yeah. If you wanted to use their chips at first, you had to use their quasi C compiler.
Oh, man, yeah.
Oh boy. Yep. Worked though, but I can understand.
Yeah, no, I mean your video, you got it working.
Yep.
It's like it's cool, like.
But I can understand your lack of trust. Like I never used to use the microchip tools. I would only trust the High-Tech C compiler, which was an Australian software company that made this C compiler, and it was like the industry, best C compiler for microchip parts. And then they bought them out. They bought them out. So now,
Downloads can be found in their software archives. You can still get it, Dave.
Yeah, you can still get the original High-Tech C written by the High-Tech people. Yeah. So, I thought High-Tech was the duck's guts.
What was the decision process around that? So what was the, you trusted High-Tech but not...
Well, High-Tech just produced better code. It was just a better C compiler. It actually famously produced tighter,
Got it. Okay.
leaner
so
code.
Just like side by side, you would get a smaller binary.
Side by side, you would actually do two compilations, and you'd find that no, the High-Tech one kills it. So basically, half the industry started using High-Tech C.
Did they ever figure out why? Was it just better?
They just had
I don't actually know how
smarter
compilers
programmers.
work.
Yeah, no, I'm not a compiler guy, but no, they just had better, smarter written compiler.
Better
algorithm-y
Smiths.
things in there. Stuff like that, tighter. They just had more, and better optimizations. Yeah. And same also with the microchip theme there. I never used to use the official microchip programmer either. I used to use another Australian microchip programmer called the newfound Warp 13, which was probably the industry standard here in Australia at the time. Like, tons of people used it. And it was from a little one-man band guy from his house selling his little Warp 13 PIC programmer. And it was better because it was always better up to date. It was always, he'd always, he would always have the latest chip release and bloody the microchip PIC.
Dave, how have you not had this guy on the show? Dontronics.com. That is a great... Oh, that's good stuff.
Don Tronics, yes.
Is his last name Tronics?
No, Don McKenzie.
Oh my
Don
God,
McKenzie.
this website is fantastic.
It is not the original. It's pretty close to the original
I've recreated
HTML.
the
is
website
kind of
shopping cart from '99.
Oh,
Wow.
really? Okay.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yep.
Wow.
From 1999.
Yes.
Send me the link.
It looks like it's from 1979.
All right. Send me the link.
At a certain
Is it
point
like
back, I
on
just
a
don't even
history?
realize.
It's on a way back archive, is it?
It's on his site. I think he's hosting
Oh,
it.
okay.
Oh man, there's flashing GIFs. Oh, this is win $500 cash.
Yeah.
Dontronics. The logo is flashing and showing win $500 cash.
All right. Yep. Okay, so it's not. It's
This
not
is
the
a
shopping cart.
specific. This is a okay.
Yeah, no, this is his website. But yeah, no, he was one of
really
the first in the country to actually do online e-commerce. I think he was the first person to do online e-commerce in Australia. So yeah, that was a big deal. That was that's great.
You got to get this Don McKenzie. You got to get this guy on the show, Dave. Come on.
Right. Okay. Yep.
It looks like he might be a little older.
Yes, yes,
'cause
he is.
if you go to dontronics.com, it says I'm redirecting you to my daughter's website, and she's a 3D rendering.
He did.
company.
I did actually ask him to come on the EV blog way back, and he said no. But he's now admitted he's actually been on a podcast before, so you can actually he's been on a local vintage computer podcast, so you can actually listen to that if you're keen. But yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I'll see if Dom wants to come on the Amp Hour. That could be real interesting.
That could be fun.
No? I know the answer. It's a rhetorical question. You don't remember web rings, do you?
I do remember web rings.
You do remember web rings.
I do. Yeah, this is like
You're older than I thought, dude.
earlier than a blog roll, right? The blog roll was preceded by web rings.
Yeah. Because search engines sucked back then. You
had to click through other people's sites.
You had Ask Jeeves. You had stuff like that. So if
what
you
was I
for
thinking
those
about the other day? I was thinking about how YouTube Shorts and TikTok is kind of like the video version of Stumble Upon. Do you remember Stumble Upon?
No, I don't remember Stumble Upon.
Oh my God,
I remember the name, but I'd never used it. I don't think.
It was basically like a little browser like extension.
Yeah,
it was an extension though, and you basically it would do an iframe window within it. So you go to stumbleupon.com, you click the button, and whatever stuff you were interested in. So like you select electronics, you click the button, and it would take you to like AltZone. And then you click the button again, and it would take you to Dontronics. You click the button again, it would just be like a list of randomized links. Right. And then some people would stick around. Yeah, no, it was.
Anyway, for those who don't know how web rings work, it was a bunch of hard-coded HTML you'd add to your HTML website down the bottom, and it would basically, if you had like a niche, like Australian electronics, for example, everyone who had an Australian-related electronics website would put this web ring code into your thing, and it'd have like next, previous, random buttons, list sites, and so that you could, so if you stumbled across my site, then you could press next and it might go to Dontronics' site, or it might go to Newfound's site selling the Warp 13 programmer, etc. So you jump between all these related websites, and it was really cool. I don't know who actually ran the service backend for it. I don't know how it worked in the backend. All I know is that
Well, Dave, whoever it was, they probably powered it with over Unity energy.
Right.
Because you just keep clicking it, and then you show up in a new place. It's magical.
And it just runs endlessly. So I guess it was WebRing was the company, I guess. WebRing.com or org or something. I don't know. I can't. It's been so long. It's been 25 years or something since I last generated that HTML code for the WebRing. Probably 30 years. Is it? God, what is it now? Yes, it'd be 30 years. Jesus. Something like that.
Yep.
Wow. Anyway.
The days are long, but the years are short, Dave.
Yep. Our amp hour's up. We waffled on too long about free energy. So we're going to have to label this something to do with Sideshow and I don't know.
Yeah.
Sideshow Bob's free energy machine. I don't know.
Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. I'll figure it out.
You'll do it. You're in charge. All right. Yeah. All right.
I'm the boss.
Catch you next time.